Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Holmes, I'm a little unclear. Who is it that you work for? What, is this a government agency or a private sector? Who is it?
Center for Offshore Safety is supported by a group of the offshore oil and gas companies. It's a industry-sponsored group for the industry.
I just wanted that clarification. Sometimes I hate to be right. 3 years ago, I sat right here and cross-examined a representative from FERC about the failure to adequately regulate pipelines because of the cyber threat. I can guarantee that your systems are vulnerable to cyber attack today. Whatever you tell me, I can guarantee that Putin's hackers could be in there within several weeks. Your SCADA systems are vulnerable. The valves, turnings are vulnerable. What kind of strong systems do you have in place? Well, let me rephrase the question. Would you accept regulation by the FERC or some other agency of the federal government to ensure cyber protection? Because right now, you're vulnerable, and we just saw this weekend what that can mean.
Senator, yes. I think a collaborative approach between the industry and the whole of government is necessary across the entire nation for cybersecurity. In my last role in the Coast Guard, I oversaw the Gulf of Mexico Area Maritime Security Committee, and safety and security are two sides of the same coin. And within the security side, you have both physical security and cybersecurity. Our last couple of exercises over the last couple of years centered on the cyber side of cybersecurity for both information sharing. We would partner with the Oil and Natural Gas ISIC, Information Sharing and Analysis Center, that has really increased information sharing over the last couple of years. And within our different exercises, the oil and gas companies would practice and work to find their vulnerabilities on their cyber systems and how to improve them on a regular basis.
Well, I hope you will continue that work, and Mr. Maranovic, I hope you will take this seriously. We keep getting wake-up calls.
Yes, sir.
And we keep not being fully awake. So I can't emphasize more how serious this threat is. I've spent the last 2 years as a co-chair of the National Cyberspace Solarium Commission, and what's come through to me is the urgency of this problem, and it just, we keep learning how serious it is. I assume you're heavily focused on this threat.
Yes, sir, and obviously the Colonial situation brought it to a new level. Our IT department this morning actually updated us on some methods that we're using. We're backing up our data regularly. Of course, we also have an off-site facility in Indianapolis to have backups put separately from our Houston location. We have blocked all access outside of the United States, and we have a two-factor authority to access that data.
I think that's crucial because we don't yet know the cause of Colonial, but it's likely somebody clicked on a phishing email.
That's right.
I mean, we can do all that we can do here, but cybersecurity starts on the desktop. And
Absolutely.
It's a culture within the company. I hope that I would urge you to, for example, hire hackers or red teams to test your systems, because your CIO tells you you're secure, but you don't know it until somebody tries to break in.
I agree with you, Senator, and we've done that a little bit in the past, but certainly this has elevated it. We'll take your advice.
Thank you. Governor, welcome. Governor Manchin and I always welcome governors because they're the font of most wisdom in our experience. We're always glad to have you here. Do you think a state should have the right to say no to offshore drilling off of their coast if their legislature and governor make a determination that they feel the risks outweighs the costs?
I do. That's not the decision we made in Louisiana.
I understand.
Yes, sir. But I do think that the state should be able to make that decision.
Thank you. Ms. Lefton, offshore wind, a couple of suggestions. One is we talk about offshore wind, but in this country, that usually means onshore wind in the water with water up 50 feet or 100 feet. In other words, it's a pylon in the water. The real future of offshore wind is in floating platforms. And as you know, the University of Maine is working on an experimental program. a couple of things. We've got to work out the compatibility of these facilities with traditional industries like fishing and, in my case, lobstering. The other thing I would urge you to attend to is to think about an offshore grid so that each offshore wind project doesn't have to develop its own grid system to enter the grid. We don't have multiple landing places. Quite often, we may want that power to be DC rather than AC because of lower environmental impacts. Therefore, fewer places to come ashore could be very important. So we're in a period now where I hope that your agency will be thinking about planning not only for the offshore wind, but also for how that power is going to get ashore and how to develop that grid as part of the infrastructure plan that we're discussing.
Well, Senator, thank you very much. We are, in fact, thinking of just very that. And I agree with you that both we need to ensure that we are doing all that we can to deconflict with existing ocean users, and that we need a very thoughtful approach to transmission to minimize impact and ensure that we have adequate transmission to bring this energy to shore. So undoubtedly, those are two things that we remain very focused on, and I appreciate you raising them.
Thank you. And my time has expired, but I want to say the overall purpose here is to keep Wyoming and Nevada from becoming coastal states.
Indeed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator King. We appreciate your attention to our states.